Hey, I'd like to talk a little bit about distal molar drift. There's other terms for this, but basically where somebody's most posterior molar, whether it's second molar or third molar, gets pushed posteriorly or distally because food gets stuck in there. And we all know it's usually because, occlusion, food's getting wedged in there and it pushes that tooth back orthodontically. It just kind of stays there and then eventually get decay. And I am describing exactly what happened to my number one. I've been living this. It's so annoying. It's like sometimes the contact's open, sometimes it's closed, get food in there, so I'm constantly flossing it out. And however you address it, one of the things we can do in the CEREC world is at least restore it. If you wanted to, it could be done direct, to tighten up the contact. But it's really cool to use CEREC to talk to the patient about the anatomy of the teeth, because typically what it is there's some deflecting surface on a lower molar into the upper molar that pushes it back. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that within the software and show a little inlay that I did for a gentleman. So let's go over to our program. You may not know this, but we do have an articulation function of CEREC, and you got to turn it on. And so what you do, where you do that is in the administration phase, and it's down right on the lower left. It's just outside of my frame here, but you can see my cursor moving, and you turn that on and off. Let me get that back on. So you'll see the blue icon. It's just out of my frame. I'm sorry. I'm doing this because it covers up my patient's name, so you can't see it. So anyway, the articulation is turned on. And then when you go to the design phase, you can obviously look at the occlusion patterns and the interferences and everything. But basically, the point of what I'm trying to say is that if you turn on the lower jaw, let's get this thing on. Sorry, I'm working on two different screens here. Lower jaw. And when you make your proposal, you could clear all those up. This is just the initial proposal. But if you get the articulation to turn on, and unfortunately it didn't turn on. Let me go back to administration. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry, rookie mistake. I forgot to turn it on, so I clicked on the button. So right here is where it says articulation. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on. Okay. No, I didn't do that either. Okay, here we go. There, it's turned on. Now it's ready to go. Sorry about that, rookie mistake. One of the other options when you turn on articulation is articulation for the initial proposal. We've had that for quite some time in the software. I've always told people not to do it because it just slows it down. My philosophy in CEREC is I want to see the proposals as fast as I can so I can manipulate them. And when you use the articulation to help make the proposal, it's got to go through all the pathways and everything. So I just usually turn that off. Okay, let's go back to the design phase here. And now there we go, that's what I was looking for. So you see the cursor details and all the different pathways where it could be, in interference or something. I'm going to turn these off just for the sake of how you would talk to your patient. So get those off. There's the proposal. And obviously we'd make our interproximal contact, really broad. It isn't so much you got to make it tighter, like snappier the floss. You just want it broad, and then start talking to the patient about how you need to adjust their bite so that they don't have that deflecting force. And then my advice to you is that don't promise them anything, because sometimes you do a little bit and it's not enough and the gap opens up again and you have to adjust it again to get that distal force from happening. And you're going to see this greatly in this case because his curve of Wilson is extreme, so it's very rounded. So let me get this rounded or flipped over here. Okay, so looking from the buccal direction, you can see how his teeth obviously go up higher, and then when we flip on the articulation, let me get the lower jaw turned on. You can see here the lower wisdom tooth has a huge point right into that zone. So let me get this turned off. And then I'm just going off the screen here that you can see I'm turning on the articulation. And then I'm not going to move the incisal pin. I'm going to move this manually. So when I do that, it'll give me the little rectangle over here to start moving this around. And you don't have to go too far, but as long as they can start to see like the shape. So if you put it in about a position right there, and I want to flip it around the lingual side. Make this bigger. So the conversation then starts in, okay, so you can see the slope of this corner of this lower molar, and you can see where it hits onto the tooth structure or the restoration. And that's as you chew, blah, 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 you're hitting into that and you're going to push it towards the back. And that will open up the gap. When you get the barbecue chicken in there, it tightens, tightens it up, and it kind of orthodontically shifts that tooth back. So not only do we have to restore this tooth, we have to fix the problem on the bottom. And that's always concerning to a patient, I think, when they're thinking, well, you're fixing the top tooth, why do you have to adjust the lower one? And so anyway, using CEREC's articulation mode, you can at least have the conversation of where you need to adjust it. And so anyway, this is how we use CEREC when it comes to this situation. And they're annoying as hell because I've got it going on in my own mouth. And so check out Digital Enamel TV and come down to Austin. Come check us out with our CEREC Straightforward class.